ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Manah Shiksha series. We have been discussing text 5. Yesterday we discussed the commentary of His Holiness Shivram Swari Maharaj, and then we began the discussion on the commentary of Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. We discussed the first 4 paragraphs. The theme has been Asat Cheshta Kashta Prada. The Cheshta, endeavor for Asat, is based on Kam, and it is Kashta. It gives suffering. Prada, it yields that. So that has been the point with the beginning of Maharaj class or the commentary, that it gives us kashta and it is vikata, very, very severe suffering it is. And it binds us, pashalibhir. It ties us with the rope, yeah? Causes karma bandhan, which is very, very painful. And how sometimes even in devotee's life, you feel that let me make some money and then I can do my bhajan, and then we never reach that financial goal and years have passed by. So this is how asat cheshta can subtly come up in the form of deceit. That's why it's compared to baka. And the root of all is this prakama kamadi prakatapata pati vetikare. So the root of is prakama kamadi. Because of this kamadi, there are this gang of thugs beginning with lust. So lust was the point of discussion in paragraphs 5 to 17, and we began this discussion yesterday, but I'll again cover these points because there is a very, very important philosophical understanding we should have as to root of this lust. So prakama kamadi, the chief of that gang is kam, lust, and kam has 5 underlinings: krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. And yesterday I was giving two different analysis of how to understand what is Loba, what is Mother. Loba is nothing but concentrated calm, and Mother is nothing but deep concentrated calm. So this was one understanding I was explaining. And another thing, what yesterday I was mentioning was how do we understand that there is calm when Krodh manifest, anger manifest. Anger manifest when desires, calm is not fulfilled. And how do you know Lob? Lob is still subtler. The greed that it puts you in illusion that you kill your own relatives, kill your own family members in order to satisfy your greed. And how do you know that there is envy in the heart? Because there is pride. So pride is a symptom of the presence of envy. So this is another angle of just to understand these prakama kamadi. And there's this whole clan, all these working together. And Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, this gang has attacked me. I'm walking on the path, and suddenly from nowhere, all this kama krodh suddenly jump out. And I was giving yesterday the example of Ravana's head being severed by Ram, but suddenly it is to pop up again. So we see that certain desires, we feel we got rid of it, but after many years, they again pop up. Crying out and encircling me, they have started tying me up. Pashali Bir. So Raghunath Das Goswami gives a very practical advice how to defeat this. What is that advice? They are robbing me, they are killing me. Hanne ham, hanne han, gale badwa. They are strangling me. Now, the very important discussion comes up. What gives rise to calm, lust? We need to know from which layer or den calm leaps out at us. From where does this calm, manifest? What is the stotra, the mula of calm? From where does it come? Everything can appear as being so perfect. The sun is shining, the air is clear, and then suddenly out of nowhere, calm appears and drags us somewhere, forcing us to act, and we say, yes, I need to do that. Now, in this paragraph, Maharaj is going to deal with the origin of calm. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the origin of calm. He says, Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. Material desire or calm, lust comes from Sankalpa. This is the origin of calm. Calm comes from where? Sankalpa. Sankalpa is something more subtler than lust itself. Please try to understand this, and then I will take up the questions if you have. Lust is already the specific desires that stifle us. Sankalpa means determination. Desires arise from the determination to enjoy. Before this specific desire, we have this focus on enjoyment in this world. Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. So this is the origin of calm. So Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman is like a generic desire. I want to enjoy. Dhrida Vrata. This is what also Prahlad Maharaj is instructing Hiranyakashipu. Matirne Krishna Parato Swatova. Mitho Abhipatya Graha Vratanam. You have taken the Vrata, Graha Vratana, that I will enjoy my senses. You're determined. So this is that Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman, which is the generic desire that I want to enjoy. And this is the root. Now, when you have this generic desire that I want to enjoy, then it can specifically manifest in the form of I want to enjoy gulab jamun, I want to enjoy, this, I want to enjoy that, I want to enjoy movies, I want to enjoy drink, I want to enjoy all these other specific desires come out. But the root is that sankalpa, prabhavan kaman. That is the root. Let us go a little ahead, and still, if you have not understood, then I'll take the questions. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita says that if we simply want to gratify our senses, we have a deeply rooted purpose. Kamera tatparya nija bhoga kevala, Krishna sukha tatparya matra premata prabhala. Kamarya tatparya, the interpretation or explanation of Kam is, it is a nija sambhog, the desire to please our own self and our own self only, kevala. This is the root of Kam, that I have a deep-rooted desire to enjoy. The root of lust is ultimately the desire of our own satisfaction, which in its turn is derived from the fact that we have left Krishna and turned away. The main problem is that lust is the most difficult to be rid of. And the strongest manifestation of lust is sexual desire. As long as a person has a body and mind, lust will more or less be there. We have a body and mind. It is the reason because there is lust. That's it. Prabhupada, in one of his Bhagavad Gita lectures, if you realize you're not this body, then where is the question of enjoying to the body? Then you'll not enjoy only. That's it. If you understand this, I am a spirit soul. So you will only maintain the body so that the body acts as a perfect vehicle for sadhana to attain my goal. So we have a body and mind. That means there is lust. So lust is seated in the senses, mind and intellect. Krishna also, the Bhagavad Gita brings out that. We have received a body and a mind to enjoy, if not grossly, then in a subtle way. At the bottom of it all lies our original sin, that we have turned away from Krishna. Krishna bahirmukh, bhogavancha kare, Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have turned away our face from Krishna because of the deep desire to enjoy. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman. We do not want to look at him. Even when we are trying to turn to him, we constantly turn back to ourselves. We constantly turn back to ourselves. We love ourselves and we want to satisfy our own senses. Nija sukha. Therefore, in any spiritual discipline, a person must somehow or other solve this problem. So be it the path of Ashtanga Yoga, Gyan Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, any spiritual discipline, one has to solve this problem. Different spiritual disciplines offer different solutions. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives a very interesting advice. 6:24. This is the same verse Maharaj quoted. This is the same verse to which I have already referred. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman. That lust is simply a personification of all our material desires, subtle and gross. Sanishchena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kaman tektva sarvan asheshata manasevendriya gramam viniyamyasya samantata. So here, this verse is being quoted. Maharaj is quoting this verse because ultimately the root is Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. And that's why we have to give up this, give up it from the root. This is the advice that Krishna gives. He says, Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. When a person sees some sense object and wants to enjoy it, this gives rise to all kinds of material desires. And the advice he gives is to give up all sense objects. Tektvan sarvan asheshata. Asheshata. You have to give up all sense objects. In essence, we must simply close our eyes to all sense objects. We must stop listening. We must stop gratifying our tongue, our nose. Tektva sarvan asheshata. Stop all the endless desires. All, sarvan. Tektvan sarvan has been the word used. And one devotee was giving an example. Suppose, after many days, you come back to your room and you figure out that there are some 30, 40 snakes inside your room. And then first thing what you'll do is take all these snakes out of your room and throw them out. You will engage someone. You will not enter the room. Yes. And when this person, the snake catcher, comes and tells you, I have thrown all the snakes out now, you can go inside your room. But there is one snake. No problem. You can go and stay. Will you go and stay? No. Similarly, these snakes of material desires are there in the heart, in the chitta, in the mind. And we have to completely, tektvan sarvan asheshata. We have to asheshata. We have to do that. And how do we do that? Asheshata means without end. All these arising desires. How we do? Manasevindriya grama. With the help of the mind, we must master our senses. Viniyamya samantata. With the help of the intelligence, we must master our mind. So this is the solution Krishna is giving. Krishna is describing the meditative stage of dharana in yoga. Okay, I'll just stop here for a moment, pause here. If you have any questions on this very important concept of Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman as the root of Kam, anyone has any questions? Yes, Abhishek Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Just want to check one thing. Like as you said, if you have a body, the calm is inbuilt in that. And with this mind and body, we are trying to remove the kama. So it is like you're trying to clean, but you're cleaning with the dirty thing. I mean, like there is an example which Yudhishthira Maharaj gives that if you want to clean a pot of wine,
liquor,
and with the wine itself, it is something like that.
Yes. But
so how do we understand?
But we are cleaning the pot or the mind with the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the Chaito Darpan Marjanam will definitely happen. So firstly, we have to understand the root of the problem. Where is the root? And Maharaj is pointing out the root is that that the desire to enjoy is very deep rooted. So that we need to understand, and that is the point being made. So once you understand, then there are these specific desires, then we can deal with them easily. So Maharaj is directly going to the root. That's why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it directly acts as a medicine which will go to the root of the problem. So His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj, in one of his holy name books, he mentions that the root desire, the root of calm is to enjoy. That's what here also Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj is, the sexual desire, which is very strong. So moment you see a woman, the false ego says, look at it, you want to enjoy it. The root is that you have a desire to enjoy. But when we change our consciousness and understanding, not based on this false ego of being an enjoyer, but they are meant for Krishna's enjoyment. They're not meant for my enjoyment. When you have this paradigm shift in your understanding, so then the other things which follow will be completely taken care. This is also the advice Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives in Vaishnav K. I told Vaishnav K is a sequel to Manashiksha. He says, Kamira Kama Nahi Tavadham. Tava Pati Madhava. Kamira Kam, to enjoy women, that is not your this. They belong to Madhava. They belong to Madhava. So this kind of understanding, we train our mind and intelligence, then we are dealing at the root of the problem. Sankalpa Prabhavan Kama. And then the specific things are easily dealt. So that is what the solution is being recommended here. I hope it is clear. Archana Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
This is for my understanding, to understand the word Sankalpa. We take a lot of Sankalpa on New Year resolution, that is 31st December.
Yes.
So, for example, I take a Sankalpa to keep myself very fit, healthy, so that I will, start following my diet, exercise, everything. And maybe at the end of third or fourth month, I come to know that I'm not able to follow that, whatever I have decided.
Yes.
So, there are two understanding at my resolution level. That first thing is ki I want to keep myself fit and fine so that I can enjoy my life. And second situation is I want to keep myself fit and fine so that I can perform my daily spiritual services and daily activities which are related to Krishna.
Yes.
So how will we define? I mean, just now you have answered the paradigm shift. I mean, it's all about how you intend the things. So, how will you explain this sankalpa? Because for small things, we do take sankalpa or we take the resolutions.
Yes.
So, this sankalpa word is specifically directed to any specific thing, or it's a generalized term?
Yes. First of all, we have to understand that Sankalpa is a very generic term, and even the materialist takes Sankalpas to attain something in life. They take Sankalpa. I remember many years back, one of my devotee friend, he was quite senior in engineering. He had a deep-rooted desire that he wanted to fly to Australia and work there. And he was so determined that he was trying his level best, 2 3 years wandering here and there, applying, trying to get the visa. It was not working. Ultimately he went to some South Indian temple which is called as Balaji visa, who will sanction it. And somehow one day night, I was coming from Bombay, and our bus, there was a breakdown. We shifted to another bus and he was in that bus. And because the bus was full, we had to stand, and I was lying down in the passage, and whole night he was narrating the efforts he was putting in trying to get to Australia. He was determined. Sankalpa. The Sankalpa was very, very strong, and because he was determined, he got it. So similarly, in spiritual life also we take sankalpas. Now that sankalpas, if they are favorable for our execution of Krishna consciousness, then that is good first. But in spiritual life, the sankalpas what we take, we are not able to maintain those vows. And this Vishwanath Chakra Thakur in his Madhurya Kadamani brings out Niyam Akshama. Akshama means not able to maintain the vows. Niyama, whatever you only take the vows, you're not able to maintain. Because the determination is not strong. It is not deep coming from the heart determination. So here Maharaj is pointing out that the root of lust is that determination to enjoy this world. So once we understand that, then we need to take sankalpas at different levels so that we can maintain them and slowly progress to come to that highest standard, to come to that higher standard. So that's how even devotees should take sankalpas as materialists take sankalpas to attain. Everything depends on determination, and determination is the function of the intelligence. So we need to take sankalpas, but because of anarthas and because of the deep-rooted problems which are there in material existence, we are not able to maintain. So we have actually 5 kinds of anchors where we have, put deep in material existence. So I'll just give one anchor. One is Dehatma Buddhi. Dehatma Buddhi is that we consider this body as the self, and body is meant for enjoyment. So there is the Dehatma Buddhi. So like that, there are these different types of anchors which we have deep rooted, placed in the material world. So we have to remove these anchors so that we can ultimately have determination to get to our goal, that is pure love. So lust is very deep rooted and love is also very powerful. So there is an internal battle going on, and that's why when we take sankalpa, we should take in a positive way, in a favorable way that will help us to become free from the disease, and at the same time it will help us to attain our goals. So that's what we need to do. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's now further continue about the Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. How this is a deep-rooted problem. Krishna is describing the meditative stage of dharana in yoga. So this is in the 6th chapter. So he is explaining this meditative stage. He says to get rid of calm, we have to give up all sense objects along with the vasanas, all the imprints of pleasure. Because without that, we cannot meditate. In my mind, I have endless memories of all pleasures that I carefully store there. So sometimes we can also think about it as we have taken up to spiritual life. Sometimes in our dream, we dream of the pleasures which we had, maybe coming previous to Krishna consciousness. Some kinds of dreams we get. Sometimes they are bad dreams also because of vasanas. And we go through this dream, but when we wake up, we was wondering, why did this bad dream come? But sometimes we take pleasure in those dreams and we think, let me sleep for some more time and dream that what I was enjoying, at least not grossly I'm able to enjoy, because now I've taken up to Krishna consciousness. But the previous pleasures of enjoyment, what I had before taking to Krishna consciousness, which I'm now seeing in the dream, let me now still more ruminate on it. So all these pleasure impressions are there, and they can, and sometimes we carefully store them. We go back to those memories and access them. This is what subtly it can happen, and many will confide to that. I can look into my memory and I see all the things I have enjoyed. Therefore, Baldev Vidyabhushan explaining verse 624 says that we have to give up all these vasanas with the help of the mind. So we have to give up these, even the subtle dream state enjoyment which we experience and we take pleasure in that. Even that we have to give. And how we have to give it up? With the help of the mind. He explains we should begin to mentally analyze material enjoyments and think, well, what good are they? So this is how we should deliberate. This is how we should deliberate and give it up. Thus, gradually we force our intelligence to meditate on the Atma, the pure soul, which is full of eternity, knowledge and bliss, taking it away from the meditation on sense objects, In his purport to 624, Ramanacharya explains this point in a very interesting way. Now, Ramanacharya makes a very interesting point. He says that there are two kinds of desires, those generated by the mind and those arising from contact between the senses and sense objects. So that there are desires which can flow from outside within us. That is the senses when they come in contact with sense objects. I see a billboard. I see there is a new restaurant open. Let me go and have this. So these are the desires which come from outside within us. And there are desires which come within us, from within inside us. They are generated by the mind because of the impressions which are there from millions of lifetimes. Suddenly from nowhere, I'm just sitting and I say, I want to have a burger or a pizza. So they come without any external contact. So there are these two kinds of desires. Desire generated by the mind can be easy to give up by using the mind. For example, our desire for mundane relationships, because we enjoy through these relationships, is one of the first things we should give up, understanding that they are temporary and ultimately unbeneficial. So this desire for mundane relationships, taking pleasure in mundane relationships, we have to give up. The mind has this emotional side and it wants to get attached to different bodies to experience emotional relationships. All this is a sign of perverted love in one sense. It is perverted love. So we have to give up by using the mind only, by giving him a training that, oh no, this relationship is going to be temporary. It's unbeneficial. When death is upon us, no one from among our many relationships can help us at that point. So this is the reasoning we should give. Even if we have children, they cannot help us. Even if there is a loving wife, still no one can help us. We are face to face with the terrible problems resulting from our karma. At that point, we can cling to the tiny island of Krishna consciousness that we have and start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the only relation that we have, that eternal relationship with the Lord in the Paramatma in the heart. It is only He is going to come along with us. Nobody else. Our wife, our children, they can come up till the crematorium. Our friends, our relatives, none can come along with us. It's only the Paramatma. And that's why we have to cling to this holy name. Then we can rise above all material desires. This is the advice that Krishna gives. He says, with the help of your mind, ponder over the futility and uselessness of all these material pleasures, because ultimately you do not need them. So the mind has to become, the intelligence has to be fit. Fit means, it's an acronym. F stands for futility, I stands for insubstantiality, and T stands for temporary. So this is how we have to keep our intelligence fit. Moment, sense pleasures, desires, harasses. Oh, it is futile and it cannot give me substantial happiness. And it is temporary. It has a beginning, it has an end. And it is a source of misery. Yahi samsparsha ja bhoga dukkha yona evate. That contact of the senses and sense objects, which gives me pleasure, will give birth. Yoni means to give birth. And the yoni birth is what? Misery. Dukkha yoni. It's a dukkha yoni. So this is how we have to ponder. They are not going to save you. Further on, Ramanacharya says we should give up the enjoyment arising from the contact between the senses and their objects, also by reflecting on the fact that despite all our efforts, we have not got anything in the end. So this is how both Baldev Vidyabhushan and Ramanacharya are giving explanation of this verse, how we should become free from this root, Sankalpa, Prabhavan, Kaman. Now, the next theme in paragraphs 18 to 41 is the relationship between the enemies. If you have any questions, you are always free to raise your hands. This gang of thugs has been friends with us over a long time, so much so that generally we have almost become a member of that gang. So there are different ways metamorphically the mind can be dealt. Suppose you are going alone from a jungle route late in the night and you see a very fierce looking person who stops your car and somehow he asks for a lift and you agree to it. Now he's sitting next to you and you're driving through the jungle to reach to a temple. But this person starts speaking and tells him, let's go inside the jungle. There's a nice liquor shop. We can enjoy there. So he starts giving you this proposal. How will you treat that proposal? Because firstly, you don't know him. And what he can do to you, you don't know. So you will evaluate their proposal with the help of the intelligence. You will not treat him as a friend, but as an enemy who is sitting next to you in the car. But for us, inside us is the mind. And the mind has been always along with us and it always gives us proposal. And because it is with us, we consider him as our friend. So we need to evaluate the proposals which the mind gives. The mind can impel us, but it cannot compel us. The mind can never take the driver's seat. The driver's seat is the soul, the passenger who is driving the car. But the mind is always next to us. It's our neighbor, immediate neighbor. So by this kind of graphically evaluating our desires, we should, treat him separately. Otherwise, we always are what? Part of the gang. Raghunath Das Goswami says, Prakamyam Kamadi Prakata. They have appeared out of nowhere and they are led by Kam. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna calls this enemy of ours Kama Rupa Durasadam. Kama Rupa means enemy in the form of lust. But Kama Rupa also means a gaul. A gaul is a person who goes to the crematorium and takes these bodies and uses these bodies to sell or to, do other kind of ghostly activities. He's basically a body snatcher, a gaul. Kama Rupa means that one who take away forms he wishes. Kama Rupa means one who can take away any form he wishes. So, especially there is, in the heavenly abodes and by mystic powers, you can take any forms as per your desire. Ishita it is called. As per your desire. Based on the desire, you can take form. Indra took a form of a rishi in order to enjoy Ahalya. You know that, right? It comes in the Ramayana. So Kama Rupa is that. Kama Rupa means it can take any form it wishes. Kama means desire. Rupa means form. So this Kama Rupa is the main enemy of the living being, especially the living being who is trying to attain a spiritual nature and has taken to the spiritual path. Sometimes lust comes to us in undisguised forms. It may also come to us as a Vaishnava with a tilak and bead saying, let's chant. Because sometimes a person engages in spiritual practice for the sake of some mundane fruits. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitamba jagadish kame. I want neither money, nor followers, nor beautiful women. Kavitam. Neither do I want respect. I want nothing. Kama generates 4 types of anarthas. Those generated by sinful activities, by pious activities, by offenses, and those generated by bhakti. So this is spoken in the Madhurya Kadamni. Maharaj is quoting this. Maharaj speaks, Madhurya Kadamni speaks of 4 types of anarthas. Sukrututta, Dushkrututta, Aparadutta, and Bhakti Utta. Utta means generated. Dushkrututta means those generated by sinful activities. And Sukrututta means those generated by pious activities. And Aparadutta, while practicing bhakti, if you commit offenses, then they act as obstacles. They act as anarthas, stumbling blocks in our path of bhakti. And with the practice of bhakti also, there are certain anarthas which come up. So Maharaj is speaking about it, and he will elaborate on this because he's going to the root, Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman. All these things represent obstacles in our bhajan. The anarthas generated by pious or sinful activities are classified in various ways: ignorance, false ego, attachment to something, aversion to something, fear of death. We have attachment to pious activities. Sometimes we are attached to sinful activities. All this. Avidya, ignorance, is the original problem of the living being. When the living being, which is spiritual by nature, identifies itself with this bag of flesh and body. Avidya is the potency by which our spiritual identity is covered and we are given a false identity of being an enjoyer. So the root of problem is avidya. All this is the result of our past activities, whether sinful or pious. Offense generate the most horrible anarthas. Ultimately, it is precisely our independent, capricious desire to do only what I want that is at the heart of committing offenses. So why do we commit offenses to other Vaishnavas? Because I want to do certain things in management, especially when we are managing things, when you want to control. I have a desire that I want to do that in my way. And the best defense is an offense, you say, right? So, and because he is acting as an obstacle to execute, he's opposing my desire. So I commit offense. So there is ultimately this is the desire to do what I want. If I am driven by this desire, I begin committing offenses to the Guru or the Vaishnavas because they are an obstacle to the realization of my independent desires, my calm. As a result, I start considering them to be ordinary people. Finally, the anarthas generated by bhakti are the desire for gain and the desire for honor and respect. So with the bhakti Devi is residing in the heart, and people come and respect you. They don't respect you, they disrespect the bhakti which is residing in the heart, and you think that you are a great devotee. Puja labh, pratishta comes up. So this is now the desire has become very subtle, the desire for honor. How many people will clap after I give a class? How many people will come and glorify? What a wonderful class. With this desire, you start giving classes. That is calm. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur mention that the desire for puja la pratishta is subtle sex. It is subtle sex, not gross. These are all the result of calm. All this is the result of calm. Sometimes people, being aware of this problem of calm, try to overcome it by applying additional efforts in practicing vairagya. So this is also a very very subtle thing which comes up in devotees' life, that they start practicing extreme austerities in order to get rid of calm. And this is what is called as vairagya prayas. But vairagya is not an anga of bhakti only. Bhakti, by practicing bhakti, automatically renunciation comes. It's a byproduct. But because of understanding this deep-rooted problem, you start trying to practice vairagya, that will not work. They may fast a lot or perform some extreme form of austerity, but actually vairagya is not our practice. Those who practice vairagya as a means of achieving something in spiritual life are just torturing themselves, getting nothing but suffering. Rupa Goswami was a renounced man, but he did not practice vairag. No, he did not. For him, vairagya was not an end in itself. For him, it was the natural state of his heart. It was the natural state of his heart. The principle of renunciation vairagya begins with austerity. Austerity does not mean that a person is standing on one leg or fasting. Let us consider attachment to food. Now, please hear this very carefully and try to understand. Let us consider attachment to food. Everyone, even modern scholars who study the human physiology, agree that an average person eats more than needed from the physiological point of view. He eats more than what is needed. Why are we so attached to food? For enjoyment or greed? To get strength? No. As soon as we are born, we start eating milk or drinking milk. Since very childhood, even in those who have been raised on artificial milk, an inner psychological association between food and love takes place in a person. There is an inner psychological association between food and love. Mother's milk is a manifestation of her love, and the baby sucks and sucks. Usually, a baby wants to suck beyond the need for food. The baby sucks for love. So, Krishna was not hungry for eating butter at the house of the elderly gopis. He was hungry for their love. And that's why he used to perform his Makanchor pastimes. So this is our real need. The real need of the soul is love. That's why it manifests in the form of food, that we, want more and more food, because actually it's not the food. Actually, we are looking for love. So whenever we lack love, we start eating. There is a strong emotional or psychological association inside us that food means love. We are looking for in life is not food. We are looking for is love. When we have love, we do not need much food or sleep. What to speak of other things to satisfy our lust. So because Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami were experiencing the love of Krishna, that's why there was no much need for them food or sleep. Thus, Vairagya appears in a natural way, and we do not need anything else because our needs are satisfied. Raghunath Das Goswami would drink a glass of buttermilk every other day and was in perfect health because he was getting energy from another source, from love. Because he was experiencing prema in his heart, that was sustaining him. Therefore, when we artificially try to protect ourselves from the sense objects, from the stimuli, then Krishna says, Karmendriyani sanyamya ye aste manasaswaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mityachara sa uchyate. If we are restraining our senses, but all the while thinking about sense objects, we are a hopeless fool because we are cheating themselves. We are cheating ourselves also. In his purport to verse 5 of Manashiksha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur refers to a series of verses from chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. They describe how degradation takes place in 8 steps. There are an 8-step yoga that has 8 ascending steps and there are also 8 descending steps. Everything is symmetrical. 8 steps up, 8 steps down. And this is the verse which even Bhaktivinoda Thakur quoted, and I had mentioned that we will study this verse once again. So now we will study this based on what Maharaj has to analyze this verse. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodha Bijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibrama Smriti Bramshat Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. These 8 steps leading down start when we begin to meditate on something material. This is the first step. By nature, we are meditators. If someone doubts it, pay attention to what we do. We contemplate, we reflect, and we begin to look. We are painfully trying to find an object that will make us happy as we scan the world. This is something only a human being is capable of. In fact, we are all looking for love. And that love is in the form of love for food, love for some object. All this is, and that's why we meditate on it. This is because other entities do not have a choice. All the other species see only what they need to see. Now, Maharaj gives an example to explain this. For example, a frog's vision is created in such a way that it does not see slow-moving objects, but only fast-moving objects like flies. If you slowly touch a frog, it will not see you. A mosquito perceives only warm objects emitting carbon dioxide. Everyone has their own vision, and each species sees only what it needs. But mankind sees everything. Therefore, a person can develop any desires. A cow by nature has a desire for eating only grass. But a human being, because he's bestowed with this evolved consciousness, he has a desire to eat meat, he has a desire to eat so many things. A person sees something, starts meditating on that object, and thinks, maybe that is what I have been missing. A person focuses on something and gains more and more confidence that, yes, that is what I need. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsan Sangastation. This is what I need. The nature of meditation is that the more we meditate on something or someone, the greater our sangha or attachment becomes to that object or person. So from meditation develops attachment. Those who practice Vairagya may say that if you take some sense object, someone of the opposite sex, for example, and try to see them through a large magnifying glass, they will not look so beautiful. This is how the Vairagis, practice their sadhana. Such persons ignore the way we are created. Sangas te shupajayate, sangat sanjayate kama. A person first meditates and then develops attachment, sangha. When attachment is developed, then comes calm. So this is the third step in the descending yoga. Sangat sanjayate. Sanjayate means born. Kama. Kama means our intelligence is set to act, work. So meditation, dhyayato vishaya, senses, and the attachment is developed at the level of the mind. And then kama is in the intelligence. The working of the intelligence is set. It means desire, and desire means that the scheme of getting that object has already appeared in our mind. Now the intelligence is scheming, is planning now how to get that object. Very powerful mechanisms are set to work. So this is the inner powerful machine which is designed by Krishna, which is working inside us. I go into the supermarket, for instance, and see something I want. If I do not have the money, then I start thinking about how to get the money. When I start making plans on how to get it, lust enters my intelligence. I want it. That Sangat Sanjayate Kama has happened now, and I want it. After that, a number of various physiological mechanisms turn on because intelligence sets to work on our senses, and that's the end. That's the end. The intelligence at the scheming level activates all the physiological senses to get those things now. Kama has devoured the mind. First, there is a desire that appears simply in the mind, Sangha. Then that desire appears in the intelligence. Then it appears in our senses. And that's it. So you saw the whole mechanism, how it is working internally. Kama is also a huge burst of energy. It's a huge burst of energy. A minute. Have you noticed what a surge of energy we feel when Kama appears? At least when Krodh appears, your energy levels are very, very strong. And I was narrating, if you remember, how a small child was playing next to the river and the mother was a little far away. And suddenly from nowhere, a crocodile came and this kid was in the jaws of the crocodile. And when the mother saw this, she had love for the child, and with great anger and great force, she just rushed to the crocodile, caught hold of the crocodile's jaws, opened it. What an energy suddenly she got. Took the child out and suddenly escaped. So emotional energy are very, very, very strong and powerful, and especially emotional negative energies in the form of Kama or Krodha. So there is a sudden surge of energy when Kama appears. The days have been dragging slowly. You have been feeling bored with no desire for anything. You have been feeling depressed, but Kama appears and you spring to life. Then we get fed up with a particular sense object, and again the days are dragging and boring. And then there is a new object again. There is a new Kama and a new life. Now, when we are trying to achieve that sense object, when we are trying to get what we need, we inevitably encounter obstacles. To destroy these obstacles, we need anger. So there is avirodha priti. Avirodha means there is no obstacle, no virodha. Priti towards that object. And when there is an obstacle, there is virodha yukta krodha. There is some virodha, then there is krodh manifest. So, there is anger when we don't get that object which we want. It is a special energy that destroys obstacles. So when you become angry, who will stop me? You'll push aside others and go to that object. So there is a special energy created to destroy that obstacle. If something stands between me and the object of my desire, I am ready to destroy it all. Who has dared to prevent me? Who has dared to come between me and what I want, what I love? In my anger, I am prepared to do anything. This gang of highwaymen that Raghunath Das Goswami speaks of consists of Kama, Krodha, anger, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. So these are the 6 highway robbers. First is lust, the most respected progenitor of the clan. There is a clan, 6-member clan, and there is first lust, which is a progenitor. It's a beginner. Kama gives rise to Krodha. Another form of Krodha is Kamanuja. Name. Kama Anuja. He's the younger brother of Kam. Kamanuja means Kam's younger brother. Krodha means anger. The river of anger begins to surge. We start screaming, we start destroying, we clench fist, and our eyes turn red. This energy can sweep anything on its way. Another result of karma is when we satisfy karma, then lobh, greed appears. So you can understand, if there is an obstacle in that desire to fulfill, there is anger. And if the obstacle is overcome and you get that desire, then it gives rise to the next enemy in the form of greed. I want more, lobha. If karma is not satisfied, then there is krodha. One is outraged and ready to kill everyone. And if we satisfy calm, then there is greed. Greed is another kingsman, the fat guy in the gang. So he's the fat guy. We saw those pictures of all these 6 personalities. So in that, Loba is the fat guy in the gang. When this gang comes to you, you should know them by their looks. I mentioned that's why we should personify them, right? The karma has grown fat. The karma that has grown fat is lobha, greed. The Hitopadesh says that due to lobha, we lose all shame. We become so shameless that sometimes when we're greedy for eating food also, we don't see that, whether others also should, it should be kept for others. We're so greedy that we want to have it for our own self. Nija sukha. When this greed is satisfied, desires develop, we cannot stop it. And there is a third result that is not mentioned among these 6 sins or 6 vices. If the obstacles are too strong for our anger to remove, then fear comes in. Sometimes Krishna speaks about it. He says, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. I give this example sometimes, and it is experience which we have seen in our Krishna consciousness. We have raga, attachment. I remember once a devotee was doing a backup, and some special items he had taken out so that he can enjoy them later on, and he had kept in a cupboard, and he was continuing his service. And now he had raga, attachment for that. But there was also bhaya while doing the service. What if somebody takes away, whether it will be there? So there is bhaya. And after he finished the service, he went to the cupboard, and by the Lord's arrangement, somebody had picked up that item. And then suddenly, not seeing that item, he became angry. Who has taken this item I had kept here? So Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha is there. So there is fear also. Raga means calm or lust, Bhaya means fear, and Krodha means anger. These are 3 emotions associated with each other. So I mentioned the relation, how these 3 emotions are there. Accordingly, as a result of fear, greed, and anger, we are seized by illusion, moha, identifying ourselves with our possession. The body is, moha, illusion, and this gives enjoyment to my body. And, because of fear, anger, and greed, we get caught in moha. What is illusion? Moha is when we forget ourselves to such a degree that we are ready to kill someone. And I mentioned yesterday that story of how the younger brother mentioned, so many years, mother, I have not taken care of you. Please come and stay with me. Got the papers signed and again kicked her out. So out of moha, we are ready to do anything. Normally, we would never do that. Again, this is pure psychological reaction because anger, fear, or greed inside produces an extremely strong drug that obscures consciousness, and we may act in a way entirely out of character because we forget who we are. It breaks all our relationships, this moha, and it covers the consciousness such a way that we forget who we are, what is our relationship with me and all others. I remember a very true story which also appeared in the newspaper, and one of our devotee himself narrated this. He is staying in Bombay in a flat, and opposite flat was owned by a husband and wife with a kid. And both the husband and wife were highly educated. Both were MBAs working in multinational company. And on a holiday, the husband was watching the cricket match because he had attachment to watching cricket match. But the wife wanted to watch some other serial, and both had a fight. And the husband, because of anger, he said, "No, I want to watch this. Do whatever you want." And in the midst of the fits of anger and that fight between the husband and wife, because of attachment to watching that channel, he suddenly picked up his child and threw the child from the 10th floor. 10th floor. And then suddenly the wife went running down to see what has happened to the kid, but the kid was already dead because from the 10th floor he had dropped him. And this is the kind of illusion it creates. Smriti Brahmshat Buddhinashat Pranashati. Then he came to his senses that what in the illusion of this attachment to watch TV, what did I do? I picked up my own child and threw him. So he himself also jumped from the 10th floor. So this is how this whole phenomena has the psychological reactions, that it obscures our consciousness and we act in a way completely entirely out of our character. Krishna explains that this is how the downfall takes place, where we do not do something we would not otherwise do. We would do something that we would not otherwise do. That person did something which, his object of love was for his child, but, because of that attachment to watching the TV, the cricket match, he did something which we would never do. Eventually, at the heart of all is calm. It is the desire for enjoying the cricket match. Because of calm, we degrade more and more. We commit a sin we would never imagine being able to commit. So we mentioned that this becomes an anartha because of papa, dushkututta anartha. But when everything goes like clockwork, everything is perfect because moha has covered our intelligence and our consciousness. We do not understand who we are or what we are living for. Just a second. Any questions or clarifications up till this point? We have to understand this phenomena, how it works within ourselves. Oh, I really forgot that time was up. We will stop here, paragraph 37. And I'll just take this one question and end. I was just caught up in trying to go through this explanation, and I did not realize that it is already time up. So I'll just take this one question and we'll end here. Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandatna.
Yes.
Prabhu, this Smriti Bhransad, this exactly what it means.
Smriti Bhransad means our memory is so much covered that we forget the relationship what we have. That person forgot his relationship with his wife, relationship with his child. And that illusions covered him so much that he forgot that relationship. Smriti Bhramshad, Buddhinash. It covers our, memory about our relationships, and it covers the consciousness to such a degree that we forget why did we do this act. So that is how the phenomena works. Is it clear? Any other questions up till now? What anyone has? We are going through this 8-step descending yoga, which will lead to degradation. And we have almost completed that discussion. But we will continue this discussion in the next week. We will need another class to finish this. I will also explain this phenomena of the degradation which Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Maharaj is taking from another angle in our next class, so that we understand this phenomena, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur has brought out that ultimately to conquer this enemy, the 6 Ripu, Shad Ripu, this is the verse, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsan, 2.62 and 6.3. So we will study this more in detail in our next coming class. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Shri Manah Shiksha ki jai. Hare Krishna.